Welcome to the Comfort Cartoons Archives. Today we are going to be covering a modern set. We've been mostly covering some older stuff, some more vintage stuff, but this is a set that came out just last year and one of my favorite sets to come out, just period, and from one of my favorite companies. So this was released by Nickelodeon and Mighty Jaxx in 2022 and they are 100% licensed. You were able to get these stores in a few different places including Box Lunch and Hot Topic for a limited time. And I opened up on Comfort Cartoons the complete set of the main crew here, including Gary down to Mrs. Puff and also SpongeBob down to Mr. Crab. But in the case of Plankton, he is actually the chase in the set here. We were not able to pull him in that video. They come with these cards as well too, which we'll be featuring throughout this video as you guys can see. But thanks to an awesome member in the community, Larissa, a member of the rep pack, she did end up pulling two of these Planktons and actually sent one over here so that way we can complete this set. So shout out to Larissa. Want to give her that credit real quick and appreciate it so much. We're going to be diving into this entire line, taking a look at them closely, showing the little details about them that I enjoy the most, and of course adding 7 new items onto our product counter as we try to add this counter up to create the world's biggest SpongeBob or Nickelodeon collection. So let's get started off with the main man himself, SpongeBob, and we'll work our way to the chase. So let's get into it. So as you already can tell here, these are basically baby versions of the iconic characters from the SpongeBob series. Of course, SpongeBob, we've seen him as a baby countless times. We even got to see him eat his first Krabby Patty inside of his mother's womb. But some of these characters, we have seen them, but we've never had figures of them. SpongeBob is one of the only characters that we have had figures of him as a baby before, but we're still going to feature him anyway. His very, very cute feet there, you can see. He's got a yellow translucent side here that is actually glitter. Has the correct hole orientation on him as well. And you may be able to hear that. Inside of here is actually a bunch of different vinyl beads that are in there. So you can see it's got this translucent glitter design that's yellow, but inside of there, if we look closely, maybe on the back here, we can see them a little better. You can see that moving in there. These are actually, like I said, vinyl beads, which simulates them being called candy here. Kind of gives you the vibe of a candy container, but they're also called soda edition. So could be the carbonation within them. But what I like to also think is that these are kind of represent a rattle. So it's like a 3-in-1 like concept there, which I think is just, it's just like, how could you make just beads inside of a figure any more deep than it needs to be? Well, they're making it triple layered. So we have SpongeBob there. See the back side of him right here. You can see his diaper a little better there. I love the clean line here down the middle. And of course, these figures would have been adorable by themselves, but I love the fact that they do something unique with them. There's many different characters, of course, but the unique look on them is really what brings them together. So that's SpongeBob right there. And of course, he includes his card as well, which we have sleeved up right here, the SpongeBob card, adding another level of collectability to these Mighty Jaxx figures. So the card goes with these as well. Let's go ahead and get to the next character, Patrick Star. So for Patrick Star here, and up until I would say Camp Coral, we've been recently seeing Patrick be featured with blue eyes. As of, you know, all of really the history of Bikini Bottom, he had only had like the black eyes, maybe a dark brown, but in some depictions of him now, we've been seeing him with the blue eyes. So you have one blue eye over there, and then of course you have like the red, pink, translucent glitter again. And of course that is a rattle as well, slash soda beads, bubbles. Super, super fun to play with and really cute on top of it. And you can just see how good all the little glitter and the translucent effects of them pop off there. There we have Patrick. And notably, he does have a little green safety pin on his stomach, which is kind of representative of the color of his shorts that he would typically wear. And he's also got a little bit of drool there. Patrick, you know, hasn't grown out of that quite yet. Next up, we've got Squidward, which I love so much. And I debate whether he's my favorite or the Plankton. Up until getting the Plankton, this was by far my favorite. There's something so awkward but yet adorable about a baby Squidward. He looks so just, like I said, strange with his long limbs, his gigantic head, but the cutoff is so clean on him. You still have those, you know, liver spots or spots on top of his head there. And of course, this one, the beads are a little bit more of like a translucent color. And you can hear those going pretty well there. Beautiful eyes, and that green color is not what I would have expected for them to do with Squidward. I would have expected like a blue. So I love the way the green was actually used in an unexpected way. And for Squidward, he's got a pink safety pin in there, which I don't really know what it could represent, but we also have his suction cups there as well. If you guys have any ideas on what the pink could represent, let me know, but it could just also be, you know, just a pin. So for Gary, we've gotten to see him as a young snail quite a couple times in the Camp Coral show before SpongeBob even has him as a pet. And for his, they actually did do the blue, which I think comes out beautifully. Again, you can see that glitter in there a little better on the blue one because it's kind of like a rainbow glitter. You got a little green in there, red, blue, maybe a little bit of gold even. And I think with his and Mrs. Puff's, you get the most amount of rattling because they have the most amount of space there. And you can really see those moving around on the inside there. And Gary's eye is about like, I'd say like 40% of his eye is just pupil, which like they've maxed out cuteness, you know, like big adorable eyes are always something we love to see in figures or on characters. And with Gary, they took the opportunity, you know, since Snail's eyes kind of are like that, to really maximize that look. And you can even see that detail being there on the translucent side as well. And then look at his cheeks, they're so cute. The chubby cheeks on Gary are everything as well too. Like the cutest one I think has got to be this one. Next up we got Mr. Krabs, aka Eugene. And in Friend or Foe, we did get to see a very young Mr. Eugene Krabs. And for his, they actually do have a blue safety pin there, which is very similar to the, you know, I guess the jeans type of denim that you see him wearing around the Krusty Krab and around Bikini Bottom. And they went with this like ombre red from like a dark, almost magenta, maybe red, all the way down to a really light colored red. And again, you can see all those details there. And that rattle detail is so much fun every time. Nice crisp line there. You got his claws down here. He's got one tooth hanging out there. And notably his nose, you know, you usually see Mr. Krabs' nose. And it's got a long little crook to it, you know, usually about like 2 to 3 little like crooks in it. Since he's a kid here, it hasn't fully grown out. So it's just this little tiny, slightly crooked nub that's very adorable as well. And a very unexpected new character here that they added is also Mrs. Puff as a baby. And I did not expect that, and I only hope that they do more characters like this in the future. You guys know how much I love when they do characters outside of the main crew, because we do get a lot of those, which I also love, but it's so fun to be able to add something to the collection that's completely new. And we don't have a lot of Mrs. Puff stuff, and I hope they do a series 2 where we get to see some other characters, even if they have to bring back a new SpongeBob, Patrick, and Squidward, still incorporating some new characters. And Miss Puff, they actually went with red too. Not the same red you quite see with Mr. Krabs. It's more of like a pink magenta, whereas Mrs. Puff's is very red, and it's almost similar to that of Patrick. Maybe they could have done a slightly different color. Maybe for Mrs. Puff, they could have just went for like a straight clear, you know, this rather than having to add a color at all. But the red, I guess, could represent kind of her anger, and you can see she has the red there as well too on her safety pin. And of course, you know, she's puffed out. So I mean, this was an ongoing issue for her even before Mr. SpongeBob Squarepants entered her life. And of course, you get the glitter there, and on hers, you get the most amount of rattle effect because it's basically a giant ball. So you'll see those go all the way around. Super cute. And there we have Mrs. Puff. Her life of crime is only beginning. And finally, we have the newest one to the collection, courtesy again to Larissa. And as Larissa explained it all, she did get 2 of these and was able to send one here for the collection. So thank you so much. And this one, I'm gonna say is my favorite because one, we got it from a member of the rep pack, but not just that, the fact that you get 2 in 1, you know, quite literally. We do get to see a baby Plankton again, kind of in the Friend or Foe episode. We see a young Plankton, and we do get to see a young Karen in Camp Coral as well, where she is featured as a calculator essentially in a roller skate, but that doesn't really quite make as good of a figure, I'd say. I take it as its own kind of rendition of them as kids. So you have the Plankton one right there. He's got the red to match his eye safety pin. He's got his adorable antennas that don't even have their the little slash marks quite yet. Great cutoff, and you'd think maybe they left out the beads because they have the Karen. But very lightly, you can hear there are a couple in there. There's not nearly as many as other characters, of course, but him alone is so adorable, and I would have been content with that. But the fact that we get a young Karen as well too, she's got the back of her monitor right there, the projection section, a couple of different bolt-in here is classic Bikini Bottom tech. You get her face over there, and then they did the green here, which makes the most amount of sense. And again, another one that rattles really well like Mrs. Puff. And I mean, hearing that rattle sound, I mean, I guess you probably could maybe kind of guess which character is in which based off of the rattling sound. But there's a good mix to where you couldn't quite put a finger on exactly which is which. But this one and Mrs. Puff definitely have a significant rattle to them. And you could set them up like this, where one's backward, one's the other way. You know, there's a lot of variety you can do with the Plankton one that I think is just perfect. And comparing that to the Squidward green, similar, but the Squidward definitely has more of an ombre to it, going from a clearer down to a darker green, whereas this one's a more consistent green going all the way through. Huge shout out to Larissa again for sending this in fan mail. If you guys are interested in sending fan mail, the address is on screen. But on that note, we are actually done here with going through this set, and we added another 7 items onto our collection counter, which I'm super proud of. And if you guys enjoyed this video, it would help me out and this video out a lot if you guys could hit the like button. I would greatly appreciate it. Leave a comment down below which one is your favorite of this set. And if you guys are interested in supporting the show further, I am on Patreon, where you'll get an extended version of all the videos that I upload on my main collecting channel in regards to Nickelodeon and SpongeBob related, cartoon related topics, as well as behind the scenes content and early releases of these videos and many more, as well as a bunch of other additional perks. So that'll be linked down below. And thank you again so much for just watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next collection showcase here on the Comfort Cartoons Archive.